Nintendo's strategy for the Switch 2 might be so clever that it's going to change the gaming landscape forever. In fact, it's something that we've already seen glimpses of with the OG Switch. Now what might that be, you're asking? Well, we're going to dive right in today and talk more about that, and some of the capabilities that the Switch 2 will have compared to the original, some of the flaws that the original Switch had that prevented Nintendo from fulfilling their potential masterful plans, and as well as the secret sauce Nintendo could be cooking up down in their lab. What's up guys, Tactics here with another video for you. Now let's not waste any time and dive right in. Now I know this channel is centered around RPGs, but since a lot of games that I do discuss happen to be on the Switch, I believe this is warranted. So let's start with the rumored features of the Nintendo Switch 2. Those include having enhanced graphics, new gameplay mechanics, and potential backwards compatibility. Now some of this may not be news to some people who keep up with the specs of games, consoles and stuff like that, but for someone like me who doesn't go too deep into that kind of stuff, this is worth noting. It is rumored to have an 8-inch LCD screen, so not as fancy as what you would see from like the OLED, but I can understand why, since the harder you go on hardware, the more you're going to have to jump up that price tag. There have also been rumors of an integrated microphone as well as a built-in camera into the system. Overall, the Switch will be bigger than the original, but not as big as say something like the Steam Deck. One of the most exciting rumors surrounding the Switch 2 is its potential to offer enhanced graphics capabilities. Once again, being able to play games in 1080p resolution, potentially bringing it more in line with its console competitors. And this is a key component since this could open up even more new possibilities for new developers, allowing them to create more visually stunning and immersive experiences. Not to mention still supporting physical copies of games, keeping in mind for the people who like to collect physical copies or who just have a large library of games they own. Where it seems like with the Sony, PlayStation, or Microsoft, they are moving away from that sort of thing, especially with the ungodly $700 PS5 Pro with no disk drive. Other rumors of the Switch include improved battery life, faster load times, and enhanced storage capacity. And just to give a little bit more detail here, it says it will support upscaling to 4K. I also heard that one before. Then it also has 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage compared to the original, which only sported a measly 32 gigabytes. And to be honest here, that is a really nice point to mention since I have stuck it out all these years with the OG Switch and its measly 32 gigs. Like, I have not once upgraded to the OLED or anything, so that is a huge plus if it turns out to be true. These features could greatly improve the overall gaming experience, making it more convenient and enjoyable for players. The potential for advanced features like ray tracing and 4K resolution could greatly enhance the visual fidelity of games, and it even supports these new faster micro SD cards for expanded storage. Now let's talk about some of those potential improvements with some of the services on the Switch as well as those pesky Joy-Cons. Gamers have also voiced their discontent with the Switch's Joy-Con controllers, citing issues with the dreaded Joy-Con drift and overall build quality being pretty damn cheap. According to the rumors, the Joy-Cons are going to be a bit larger in size than the current ones, and the buttons like the A and B buttons will be colored, which I think is a nice touch for sort of distinguishing the new upgraded version versus the original. Then there is as well as having electromagnetic suction with the SL and SR buttons. So like, you know when you slide your Joy-Cons back onto the Switch and it makes that nice little click noise? Well, it seems that now it's going to have some kind of metal that magnetizes the Joy-Cons to the Switch. Overall, I do believe that the Joy-Cons themselves will be made out of better material. The Switch's online services has also been a point of contention, with many feeling that it's lacking in terms of features and functionality. And I happen to definitely be one of those people who have a strong opinion of the eShop. Nintendo has a vast array of games that you can explore and find on the Switch's eShop, as well as the Nintendo Online feature. But my biggest issue with it is the utter clunkiness of it. You can just be browsing through the eShop looking for the latest games that were released, and it takes you forever to scroll down without the shop having to stop and load in the next batch of games. And it's not like it's a quick second or so. It takes a good few seconds for it to load in the next batch of games, and it just drags on forever. It really makes me not want to look up what games are available on the eShop because of the inconvenience of it. Not to mention the sheer lack of search features that I feel should already be implemented into the system. And what about the music in the eShop? Like, you can open up the eShop and it's just dead silent. Like, come on Nintendo, I need my music when I'm searching for new games. Is that really too much to ask for? But anyways, in addition to these issues, some gamers have expressed concerns about the Switch's overall value proposition, feeling that the console is too expensive for what it offers. This perception has been fueled by the availability of more powerful consoles on the market, which offer more features and better performance at similar price points. But honestly, I don't fully agree with this considering just how many games the Switch has to offer. Not to mention the number of first-party titles like Mario and Zelda being at the forefront of the bunch. Then you've got the laundry list of third-party and indie games that just completely flood the eShop, and the last time I checked, software is what really drives home sales and what keeps a console alive. Like, I've got nothing against PlayStation or Microsoft. In fact, I love a lot of the games they have released as well as some things they do when it comes to making their games available on PC. But when you focus so heavily on graphics and insist on pushing your games to look so jaw-droppingly real, but it takes you damn near a decade to release your first-party game that turns out to be pretty mediocre, then you have effectively lost my interest. But I digress. And that little rant leads me into my final point though, and that is the ingenious strategy that Nintendo could be devising without anyone really realizing. We already know that the Switch's success stems from the capabilities of taking your games on the go and being able to play whatever game you want on the go as well. I believe Nintendo is trying to centralize the gaming industry. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it like having a trade route where you have a city where like 90% of goods and services pass through that city from other nations and countries to reach its main target audience. Well, I believe Nintendo is going to become that central point where you have developers from small to large companies wanting to have their games on the Switch 2 in order to reach the largest audience they can. And with the Switch 2 being a much more powerful system than the OG system, it will be able to appeal to a larger audience with some of the bigger known companies. Because just look at some of the recent games that we've got that came out on PlayStation. There have been some great games like Visions of Mana, and it was a travesty of what happened to Oka Studios getting shut down by NetEase Studios. Then you've got Astrobot that many praised for being incredibly good, but sales for these games just weren't that great, way lower than what anyone was actually expecting. Then it begs the question, would sales have been better if these games had a Switch version as well? Now I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just based on the sales numbers alone, Trials of Mana had a Switch version and it sold miles better than Visions of Mana did, being exclusive on the PS5. Now I'm not saying that all games need a Nintendo Switch version to do well, not really anyways. There are simply some first party titles from big companies like Sony who will probably never put some of their biggest first party titles on other systems. But I still believe Nintendo could be trying to close that gap of companies competing in this whole console wars thing. Now, do I think Nintendo is some benevolent entity that wants to save the gaming industry or help out other companies out of the kindness of their hearts? No. At the end of the day, making money and driving sales is still the centerpiece of their goal like every other company. But no one likes it when a smaller company works hard to develop a game for years and puts a lot of effort into making it look good and play good for the game to flop, and as a result have the studio behind that game get shut down. However, I do think having a centralized system where anyone is capable of throwing their game onto it could potentially get noticed and drive sales for all parties involved. Now that is a win for everyone if you ask me. Because just like with a trade route, everyone involved gets a cut so long as those business deals satisfy both parties. Oh yeah, and as for my predictions for when we could see the reveal of the Switch 2, well, I still believe that a reveal could happen this month, yes, but I have changed one thing. There's a good chance that if we don't see it by the end of September, I'm thinking early October, and that's it. No more speculating, no more predicting. I'm just going to shut up about it and sit back and wait until we get an official announcement. But what are your thoughts on everything we discussed? Let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed anything in the video, be sure to hit that like button for me and subscribe if you're feeling even more generous for more content like this. I've got another video on the way for this week as well, talking about my favorite franchise from Nintendo, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. And with that guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.